Labs. We're DRONEXLABS. My name's Dave, and this is PK.
Hello, hello.
We're just chilling in the Time Warp. This is what we call PK's basement. And we're from DRONEXLABS. We're a company that sells drone kits. So if you guys have seen a lot of drone stuff going on in the world, you've seen some FPV racing, you've seen some of the Star Wars stuff where people are flying through garages and through woods. That's what's going on. And we're here to kind of bridge the gap and show you guys how to do it.
Right.
So
put some smiles on your faces, taking risks, really just trying to share the love of flight. That's what this all comes from. We're passionate people. I got a love for jumping out of planes and a bit of free fall. And it gets a little bit too dangerous with little kids, so kind of naturally progressed into seeing what we can do with this. Checked out the FPV, and the next thing you know, we're racing these things. It's so much fun.
And the cool thing is, Twitch is a place that has, the perfect demographic to actually do this. I'm an old school gamer. I played Counter-Strike for, many, many years. And you guys have the technical knowledge, you have the ability to kind of make that transition right into drone racing. And, even if it's not drone racing, even if it's just flying through the air is amazing. Like, there's no other way to put it. Like, when you're sitting behind FPV goggles and you're flying through the air,
right?
It's an adrenaline rush. It's unbelievable.
It is. It's off the hook. I come off of this thing shaking.
Yeah.
So much adrenaline, so much fun. This is what we're really about. We just want to kind of introduce everybody to it and talk about the hobby, talk about the love of these things, show what they're all about. There's a little bit of the size. This one's been through quite a few crashes and quite a few wars, and they just stand up. They just keep kicking and just crash them again and again. You replace a couple of blades and have another go.
So there's a lot of confusion in the world, I think, right now about, with all the media and stuff, like what constitutes a drone. I think most people hear drone and they think, bombing Middle Eastern countries. But really, drones are kind of synonymous with this other acronym, UAV, which means Unmanned Aerial Vehicle. These things have been flying in the air forever. It's only more recently that we've gotten into kind of the drone world because the technology and the hardware has kind of gotten small enough to where you can really conceivably make these things. But long before this, going back even into the 60s and the 70s, people have been really deep into this hobby, flying like RC planes and RC boats and all sorts of RC stuff. So when you think of drones, you really just have to think of this most recent evolution of the hobby. And yeah, it's a really cool history, and it's actually got a bit of a generational gap in there too. You got a bunch of older guys that are used to flying all the old planes and stuff. And then this kind of newer generation that's flying around these Ferraris, basically.
Formula One flights.
It's super cool.
There are some amazing speeds coming out of these things too. I mean, people are getting them up over 80 miles an hour. It's just insane. You cover a football field like that. You try to fly one of these things line of sight like the old school RC guys do, and they're just gone. You lose track of them. You just can't figure out where they are. So there's definitely a lot of safety, a lot of training, a lot of practice that's got to be done to be able to handle one of these. But it doesn't take that long. It's definitely something everybody can do, and we're going to kind of encourage it and show it and help everybody get like a learner drone that wants to know a lot more about this. And just kind of welcome everyone to the team and what it is we're doing. We're just trying to support the environment and the culture and people that love to do this around the world. We've got an amazing team of pilots that are coming on board, and a lot of them fairly recently. Big shout out to all of you pilots all over Europe, all over Australia and America. It's fantastic to see everybody coming together and collaborating and just sharing the love of this thing. It's really fun. It's really, really, really exciting to be a part of.
So we've got a dude here asking, are there different classes of drone racers? Right now, the most popular class, and correct me if I'm wrong, is actually about the drones themselves. So you've got a 250 class that they ran at the most recent Drone Nationals. And 250 is referring to the millimeters between corner to corner on the motors.
Looking motor point to motor point right there. And they're pretty loose about it. I mean, they're really just more about having some fun. Even at the big Drone Nationals race we went to out there in California, in Sacramento, big shout out to Drone Nationals, you guys were epic. they were pretty loose about it. I mean, people were flying tiny little 160s, 170s, all the way through to, we saw some like 300s coming out and racing. So a lot of it is just kind of loose. People are really trying to nail it down a little more with, like, you know, the 3S batteries, and that stands for 3-cell versus a 4-cell battery. So it kind of keeps it a little more even and fair. You don't really want somebody with 6-inch props and a 4S battery going up against somebody with a 4-inch prop and a 3S battery. The acceleration on a 4S battery is insane. You're gonna kind of win every time on that one if you can control it.
So I say for the beginning here, just to kind of give you guys a taste that are maybe kind of new to this, we've got one dude here that says he's only been into them for about a year. I'm sure many others haven't been into it for nearly that long. I certainly haven't been into it for much more than, what, a year now. So let's pull up like one of the drone racing videos, maybe Humboldt's, where he's like flying through the forest.
Yeah, man. Let's do that.
So we'll pop over to this YouTube video. This kind of gives you like that first-person feel of what it's like to, like, you know, be dodging trees and flying through the air.
One of our team pilots, Humboldt 710.
Just killed this one.
Utterly amazing pilot. He's got loads of skill. We're really glad to happy to have him on board. And one of our two pilots on the West Coast, we got Will Surf Air and Humboldt. Skip a little bit of this, and yeah, just check this out. Here we go. Zipping along. This is really it. If you're new to it, this is what you get to see. We rock with the goggles. Can I get a pair of those goggles? We rock with the goggles on our face as we fly along, so you're really getting teleported into the experience. So what you're seeing on the screen, you're going to get to see on the little monitor inside the goggles right there. You're sitting in a chair because only some of the most seasoned people can stand up and fly these things. I've seen people do it. You know, Sakil, big shout out to you, mate. I've watched you do it a few times. Personally, I sit down, man. I mean, I almost fall out of a chair when I'm flying these things. It gets pretty crazy.
Well, a lot of people get like vertigo and stuff too.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a little disorienting when you're flying through the air.
Yeah, it is. It's so intense. It's so immersive. You're on this thing. You're in it, and it just teleports you into the reality of flying along. You feel like Superman. That's kind of some of the big pull of this. It's so epic. It's a great track. It's a great location you found here.
You assume you can fly from a PC? I don't know what that means, Rebel.
Flying from a PC? You know, not at this point. It's all radio waves. You're flying from this kind of stuff right here. So old school RC. Really, it's just 2.4 gigahertz. Same kind of thing your home router uses. Videos coming down off of the drone. You got 5.8 gigahertz coming off of this antenna right here through a video transmitter. So you're pumping 5.8 to your face so you can see, and you're shooting up 2.4 to control the drone.
And it really is like that fast twitch kind of muscle fiber, using your fingers, very, very slight movements in order to get incredible amounts of control. If you guys haven't seen them, you should check out some of the old school kind of line of sight pilots that do like helicopters and stuff like that. I mean, the level of skill that these guys...
That's insane, isn't it?
Insane.
The heli freaks,
yeah.
They're just throwing them in front of themselves with blades that are like a meter long that'll just take your head off.
So now when you get FPV, you've got so many more dimensions to kind of explore, and that's where this is going. I mean, some of the best pilots in the world, we saw them at the Drone Nationals, and the skill gap is certainly closing. People are getting really good really fast. These guys are incredible.
They are.
It's almost mind-boggling. Like, you guys know from gaming, when somebody watches you game when you've been playing something for 10 years, they can't even appreciate, they can't even fathom how you knew that guy was going to come around the corner. That's what you start getting with some of this stuff. It's that spidey sense, that kind of pod racing type feel.
And you need it because trees come up really quick.
They do.
There's some great practice tools out there too. You know, there's a PC game that's free right now. I'm pretty deep into it. Hot Props. Do a little Google search for that. They're great. They've got this great little PC game, and it plugs in straight into this FR Sky Tyrannus receiver. You got a little mini USB in the back. So it connects right up and you get the same kind of muscle memory. And that's really important too, is you don't want to learn something different than what you're flying in the air. So you want to make it as realistic as possible. You're going to get so much more experience just from flying on the PC, and you're going to save yourself a lot of money with crashes.
So Rival's saying, can you feed it to a monitor? Yeah, in fact, most people do. That was kind of the first earlier versions. People would just feed it to what they call a ground station. You'd have a monitor sitting right there in front of you, and people would put like guards up to get like blinders.
Video out is video out, right? When it's coming out, and it's going to be coming out on an RCA. As you can see on the screen, we've kind of thrown this up. You get the GoPro on the top, so you get all the, we call it the showboat video for afterwards. You get to have some HD video, and it looks amazing. But realistically, you see the little camera underneath it? It's nothing more than a security camera. So you're looking like 600 TV lines. Some of them go up to 800-900 TV lines. They all come off at about the same because it's all about bottlenecks everywhere you go, and the bottleneck's the 5.8 radio waves. You can only get so much data down that radio path, and then it transfers onto your goggles. So it's going to look kind of like a pretty weak 1980s TV, for those of you old enough to remember what that looks like. Totally good enough, amazing to fly on, but certainly not the HD yet. Nobody's figured that out.
Yeah, and I mean, basically you just said it, but it kind of took my brain a while to figure out. Shitty camera on bottom is feeding back to your goggles. Nice camera on top is what you're kind of getting to kind of download on your PC later and throw up on YouTube and edit and stuff like that. Eventually, you'd hope that they can kind of consolidate cameras into one thing, but that's probably a bit further.
Somebody's figuring it out. I mean, I just saw a few new things getting launched. Get FPV's got something. Somebody's figuring out that little Mobius camera, and they're starting to build it all together into one. So it's coming. But still, to get HD back to your face, you're talking some serious equipment with more weight, and these things are obviously not designed to carry a lot of weight. They're lightweight, they're fast, and they crash. So you got to keep all the really expensive components off of them.
So Rival's hitting us with all the questions. Let's keep going with that. What else do you really need? I guess that's a good segue. Like, let's just talk about what you need in order to do this. Like
what it takes to fly.
Yeah, I mean, I guess first you need the drone.
Drone.
Like I said, people do RC planes. They do fixed wings, which are kind of like a big styrofoam kind of V-looking wing.
Get a battery.
So you've got different vehicles. Drones are the fastest. They're kind of, like I said, the Ferraris of what's going on these days. But you're going to need a drone. You're going to need a battery.
Some kind of lithium polymer battery. There's all sorts. 2-cell, 3-cell, 4-cell. Gives a different amount of voltage. You get 7.2s, you get 11.1, or you get 14.8. They come in different sizes. Some you're going to use for your goggles. Some you're going to use to fly around with. These are more like the ones you'll fly with. They're a 4S, 1.6 milliamp. So you really, you can charge this thing up to 14.8 volts. You're never going to let the battery run down below 3 volts per cell. We don't really recommend going below 3.3. You just be nice to your batteries. They'll be nice to your drone. So yeah, you gotta have a set of batteries. Gotta have a drone. Gotta have, at a minimum, you've got to have a battery charger, batteries, radio, and a drone. And you don't even want to put a camera on it. The GoPro. Keep the camera right off of it until you really learn how to fly these things. Some of the best ones to learn with are like actually the toys.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that recommend a lot of the same things. There's a Hubsan HS4 or something to that effect. I'm a really big fan of the Ladybug. This is a phenomenal drone. You can fly it around inside. You can hit yourself with it as long as it's not in the eye, and you're going to get away with it. I mean, it might nick your skin, but it's nothing more than a cat scratch. And the skill that it takes to fly this directly equates to flying a big one like this. I've seen people do amazing things with this. Fly up and down the stairs, 360 flips in a house. These are just incredible, and they run on the same kind of thing. You got a little LiPo battery on the bottom.
And it looks like a toy, but don't be fooled.